Great skills again by him. Oh, marvellous goal by Logan.
Welcome to the Rangers journey.
Well, bonjour everybody. It's your Monday night podcast, and I've been wheeled away for the gym to address yesterday's game. I think it's probably the nicest way to put it. We've got some clips I'm going to upload. We've got our resident referee Gary, who's kindly joined us to break down some of this. I'll give in and introduce everybody first. This podcast is brought to you by Bluebell's Bar in Playa del Carmen, family-friendly pub. Shows all your Rangers matches, decent food, decent grub. If you're in Playa del Carmen, please head on over and check it out. It is the only Rangers bar in Playa del Carmen. So, Andrew, I'm going to come to you first. How you doing, mate?
I've had better Mondays, but yeah, so, mate. So. Thanks for having us on.
No problem. Billy, how are you, pal?
No feeling too great tonight, mate, but I didn't want to miss coming on and airing my frustrations with what we've seen yesterday and what we've seen for the last 10 years.
Definitely. Ryan, only seems like I spoke to you 10 minutes ago because we'd done a daily news on the members pod earlier. How are you, pal?
I'm all right. Probably the only kind of silver line out of this is I have not got a rip-roaring hangover because I had nothing to celebrate last night, so I was up the road straight to bed.
Fair enough. And Craig, I think this is my first podcast with you, mate. How are you doing?
I think it's an all aye. I'm doing all right, barring yesterday. Everyone's gone well.
And last but no means least, we've got Gary. How are you doing, pal?
I'm all right, mate. All right. The group chats have been absolutely bouncing today, as you can imagine. So try to get your work done and answer all of them at the same time. It's been hectic.
Aye, definitely, mate. Definitely. Right, we're as well just getting right into it. It might take me a wee while to figure out which what here, but just bear with me. Right, what clip is this? Nope, we'll talk about that one first. This is how many, by the way, guys. I've got about 8 of these lined up about all the dodgy decisions we've had in Old Firm games. Right, this is the biggest one of the day for me, Gary. Listening to Clyde Wan on the way back up the road there, and they're saying it. Yeah, a yellow card was given for excessive force. To me, studs to the face, it's a red card. Talk me through it. Why did they only get a yellow?
Honestly, I've no idea. I've heard, I was listening to Clyde a little bit yesterday, and they were saying there's not a lot of force in it, and so there's a little bit of mitigation. Ultimately, Jack Butland's down on the deck. His head is defensive. He's got his hands on the ball. The ball's not even in the vicinity where the boot is. Any contact to the head at that point is excessive. It doesn't matter how light or how heavy it is. So it should be serious foul play, red card in my opinion. I've no idea why a red wasn't given there.
Right, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. I've got a Celtic supporter that's come in the comments and he's wanted me to ask you about the Cornelius tackle and the disallowed goal. What did you make of that?
The disallowed goal, I believe, was for offside, was it not? Yeah, that's a black or white decision, isn't it? It's either off. It could be millimetres, could be metres. It's either on or it's off. I've not seen it back to see where the lines were drawn, to be fair, but it's offside, is what it is. In terms of the Cornelius tackle, I agree it probably was a yellow card. No, honestly, I know it probably won't be popular on here. He has won the ball, but he's lunged a little bit. The key thing why it's not serious foul play is he's on the deck, is controlled, and the force is again on the ball first. So he's not endangering the opponent's safety. It'd be deemed a reckless tackle in that scenario. So yellow card, correct, in my opinion.
Okay, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. I'm going to try and bring up the Anthony Ralston clips. Bear with me till I find it. Oh, just spoke about that one. No, just how many of these we've got. I'm lost of it, but come on. So overall, see a penalty yesterday, Gary. Was that straightforward decision to you? Like to me, so, I'm with my non-biased Rangers hat on, right? To me, I don't know where else he can put his arms. If I'm being honest, obviously I'm not a ref. I don't know enough about this. So, but do you think was that a penalty?
I think it was a penalty. The reason being is in that scenario, it's denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity. It's not quite denying a goal because you've got Scales trying to slide in behind Ralston, and you've got Schmeichel still in the goal. So it's not denying a goal, which is another term we use, but it's denying a goal scoring opportunity. Gassama's lining up a shot relatively unopposed from about 8 or 9 yards. So there's a good chance there's going to be a goal off the back of that, and that's all you need for it to be denying a goal scoring opportunity. At that point, if it hits the arm, either unintentionally or intentionally, then it's a penalty regardless.
Okay.
Again, and the reason why, also the graphics saying why no yellow card, if that was deliberate, it would be a straight red card in my opinion, because denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity, and it's not an attempt to play the ball or anything like that, it's by virtue of a deliberate handball. It's not a deliberate handball, he's obviously not meant it. It's just the way, the desperation he's dived down to block it. His hands out from his body underneath him. That ball's going on target if it doesn't hit his arm. Therefore, it's denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity. It's not intentional, so it's downgraded to a yellow card in that situation.
Right, and was he already booked at the time the penalty was given?
It had been, yes. So again, you can debate whether it should have been a straight red or yellow. In my opinion, it should have been a yellow, but ultimately the same outcome. Ralston should have been sent off after that.
Okay, cool. Right, let's see if we can get some of these on. Right, so this is obviously like the previous Old Firm games. What did you make of this? The same goal in the cup final?
Yeah, I remember at the time, a big thing that you can see the Scales push on, is it Sterling, I think it was there, is being consistent. So you can set your standard. If the Scales push isn't a foul, then the Raskin one on Schmeichel can't be either. Or is it Joe Hart at the time, actually? Am I going back a little bit? It's Joe Hart, isn't it? Yeah. So you've got to be consistent in the game and referee the context of the game. Now, Old Firm games tend to have a lot more goal without punishment than other games just because of the nature of them. You'd be flashing 20 odd yellow cards a game if you held it to a similar standard. But if that goal's getting chopped off for the push, they also have to look at the Celtic player fouling Raskin prior to the push. And I think there's probably been a breakdown there where the VR's just checking solely the push on Joe Hart. Mm-hmm. And he's totally forgoing everything that's happened before that. So not paid attention there. I think it was Greg Taylor, if my memory serves, that's holding Raskin prior to that. So it's not a goal if he's going to dig up the foul. He has to also foul on Raskin, should be a penalty.
Cool. Trying, obviously this video is for the first Old Firm game of the season. Yeah. I think it's just kind of general challenges and stuff, to be honest with you. What did you make of Asgard sending off yesterday? Fairly straightforward red card, didn't it?
I would have thought so, mate. Aye. It's obviously unintentional. He's got his eye on the ball, but it's endangering the safety of the opponent. If you catch someone with your studs out, hip height or thigh height, whatever it was, it's always going to be a red card in the modern game. There's no kind of mitigation for it being unintentional or anything like that anymore.
Right. Okay, mate. Okay, cool. This is for the... this is Beale, I think, isn't it? Obviously, we're playing them at Parkhead. I'm not sure if this is a night with the Alistair Johnston maybe handball. This is just clips of persistent fouling. To me, that's a typical Old Firm game, but I don't know. What did you make of the Nick Walsh yesterday and the lack of cards? Or do you think he let a game flow? Or what angle was he coming at for yesterday?
I think most of the guys go into these games thinking, like, let's not be racking up hundreds of yellow cards early doors, because it's a tool ultimately for the referee to use to calm the game down at certain points. So if you flash them all early, it loses its effect and no one cares about having them anymore and you just get carnage. It can also go the opposite way, where if you don't punish anything, it just goes wild as well. So it's all about timing and getting the cards right to cool the temperature. I don't know if you remember, there was a Chelsea v Tottenham game a few years ago when Clattenburg was in the middle, and he just let everything absolutely go, and the game just turned into a farce. It was like something you'd see in an amateur park. Everybody was halving each other in two. So you've got to kind of strike that balance. Yesterday, if he's letting stuff go, that's fine. But there's a tactic a lot of teams use, and it's sharing out the fouls. So i.e. break up the counter-attack nice and early, different person doing it each time. Therefore, the ref has to give him a couple of goals and then a warning and then the cards. So in theory, you would have like 40 odd fouls before a yellow card. That's not the case. Normally, you'd either have a word with the captain or make it very obvious. This warning isn't just for you, ex-player. It's for the entire team. The next foul that goes in is copying a card, even if it's his first foul. And that kind of tends to tell that. But it just didn't happen. Then you've seen there was a number of players had maybe 3 or 4 at the one time before a card was shown, which I think is letting it go too far and try to let the game go.
Right, okay. Just a quick lip running of lads before you head off, Andrew. You want to ask Gary?
Not really. I was looking at the stats from yesterday. Celtic had 26 fouls committed. We had 13. For me, there was just a lot of persistent fouling, which is something that happens a lot. Now, we can look at maybe 1 or 2 of our players that kind of do that, but it's not to the level that we see from Celtic. I think Celtic got about 6 yellow cards yesterday. We had 3 for our 13 fouls. They had 6 for their 26. Should there have been more, Gary, or do you think that was probably about right?
In general play, I thought Maeda was lucky not to get a yellow earlier than he did. You can focus on a lot of players. Raskin's one from our team that kind of toes that line a little bit, where he does a lot of small niggly ones. Maeda constantly does it as well. I've noticed that quite a lot. Not so much in your regular league games, but Old Firm games and European games. He tends to do a lot of niggly fouls high up the park when he's pressing. A lot of that will be down to just the pure pace that he closes people down at, and it's a bit clumsy, but it can be allowed to continue. Other than Maeda, I thought most of them were okay. The yellow cards, what he let go, other than what we said, Ralston, I think he had another couple where he could have seen a yellow for breaking up a promising attack when Gassama nips the ball around him and he blocks him off. I think it was in one of the clips you showed us, Scott. Other than that, I thought yellow cards were generally okay. It's just, again, the red cards that's been the big issue, and they're a major decision in the game. Yeah, like that one, for example, he's clearly stepping across the path of Gassama there, or Magoma, it might have been, to prevent it, to stop the attack. Because of the area in the park and basically the potential for that to develop into a really good attack, it's got to be a yellow card. There's no one in behind Ralston there. So basically, Trusty's looks like the one that would come out to close. So either he comes out to close and leaves a big channel for Chimeti to run into, or he holds off and lets Gassama or Magoma, whoever it was, drive into the box. Either way, it's a promising attack.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Billy, you want to ask, pal?
I'm wary of not trying to give Gary any loaded questions or ask him anything unfair, like why the referee's like this. But I will go back to something you said, Gary. You mentioned that, and maybe I'm just being naive, that the yellow cards or whatever are used as a tool to calm the game down. Should it not be used to punish yellow card offences first and foremost, rather than just controlling a game?
They are, mate. They are. But what I would urge you to do is, if you can nip along an amateur game where you've got a guy that's a ref that's just qualified and he's read the rule book, he's done the class, he knows that every line of the rules, word by word kind of thing. He's hyper focused. He'll flash cards willy-nilly early doors because he thinks that's the rules. The game very quickly gets out of control. You can make the argument in professional football, the players are a lot more disciplined because there's more at stake, so that wouldn't happen. But it's just generally an experience thing, and 9 times out of 10, if you do it in that fashion, the game passes without a lot of instant. It doesn't mean you don't punish stuff. If it's deserving of a yellow card, it's deserving of a yellow card. We're talking about the borderline ones where, in the context of the game, can you let it go kind of thing.
Okay, mate, thanks.
Ryan?
Sorry, I was struggling to come off mute. Gary, I've got a few questions. First question, none of these are loaded, don't worry. First question is, how do they go about coming to the decision of who becomes the referee at the weekend? So is there a process of like kind of match ratings that referees get that's like a shadow rating that we won't be aware of, that whoever's the SFA or feel are doing best and refereeing games best, do they get the biggest games, or is it some sort of lottery?
There's not a shadow, as far as I'm aware anyway, not that I've been privy to. I don't think there's a shadow rating system. In terms of how games are allocated, it's something we've all kind of, we never actually know. Like, cause every night I'd go through, like previously, I'd go through a run of getting quite decently profile games, and then be in your kind of dog shit parks, if you like, for lack of a better word, other weeks for a few weeks in a row, and you can't quite work out because there's nothing. I've not had a horrendous game, I've not had a brilliant game to justify either of them. In terms of Old Firm games, it's nothing that's been publicised, and this is just me sort of hypothesising a wee bit. You tend to see them shared out amongst the sort of quote unquote top guys throughout the season. So you can, especially when it gets towards the end of the season, you can see who's not had one and kind of roughly predict who's going to get them. But the guys with FIFA badges tend to get them because it's sort of, I don't know the exact clause, but they've got to be involved in X amount of games at a certain profile to justify the FIFA badge. So like Nick Walsh, for example, he's a FIFA referee. He takes part in European competitions as well. So he can maintain that badge and that profile and that have that sort of system. He's got to be on certain profile games, and there's got to be an X amount of percent of games around the top division as well. So he can't be doing like 10 games a season in the Championship, for example. It would have to be, I don't know the exact percentage, Ryan, but it would have to be a certain amount, and it's a decently high percentage. I've got to be in the Premier League, and then of that, the higher profile games obviously go to these guys.
Yeah, just for me, if Kevin Clancy had been involved in the referees team, I don't think we could have handpicked a worse referees team from our perspective. You know, there. I know you can't comment on that. Second question I have is obviously, second question I've got is that allegedly, from what Tavernier was saying, Nick Walsh acknowledged that there was contact between Trusty and Butland, but he said that he didn't kick him hard enough to merit a red card. Now, that's obviously quite a bad. Now, do you think there's something with like a challenge system that we can challenge? We can basically, Danny Rule can stop the game and say, no, Tavernier's told me to stop the game. Nick Walsh has said something to Tavernier which I completely do not agree with, and I want the game stopped and I want it looked at by the VAR team, and I want them to go to the monitor and I want them to have another look again. Like some sort of challenge system that would stop things like this happening, because he's acknowledged that he's kicked him in the head, but he doesn't. He's there. It's like it's madness. You know, it's like he's punched him, but he's not punched him hard enough. So it's, for me, that doesn't make. And I think maybe some sort of challenge system might help, but I don't know.
To be honest with you, mate, I've probably mentioned on here before, I'm a big fan of NFL, and I used to play a bit of American football myself, and if any of you watch it, that's the system they have in the NFL. It's the coaches' challenges rather than some person in a box somewhere watching it. So I think that would, for this example as well, but just in general, I think that would take a lot of the sort of conspiracy theories out of why was that not checked, why was that not given kind of thing. If the coaches are there to challenge it, sort of almost creates an honesty amongst their own players as well, because if they know they're at it with a decision and the coach is going to lose a challenge off the back of it, they're going to tell them not to challenge it. Do you know what I mean? So I think that would definitely help. On that one, I mean, it shouldn't really require a coach to say this is the rules. What you need there is a stronger VAR, in my opinion, compared to challenge. But again, you're coming into this thing where there's a bit of a hierarchy in terms of, like I said before, the top guys. If there's a not as high a profile guy, if you like, in the VAR, is he going to challenge the top guy saying you've got that wrong, despite what he's describing has been pretty much, I mean, for what it sounds like from Tavernier's interview, Walsh has seen it pretty much as is. He's not missed anything. So the clear and obvious error comes in where they've got to say, has the referee missed anything? And I think the VR guys use that as a bit of a get out at times, in personal opinion. Always seen it accurate, then we can't intervene. But clearly he's not seen it accurate. That's a failing of the understanding of the laws, in my opinion. So he's got to be challenged on that as well. If the VR hears Nick Walsh saying down the comms, there's not enough contact or the kick's not hard enough, however he worded it, he's got to be challenged back and go, that is a straight red. We're going to bring you over the monitor and look again, and then you get your wee 30 seconds of, you can actually chat to him and say, look, this is the rules here. It's a kick to the head with the ball's nowhere near it, and the ball's already in Butland's hands. But that takes a bit of a strong character to do that, and maybe it just didn't happen yesterday.
Thanks, man.
Craig, have you got anything, pal?
I just wanted to, I don't know if you'll be able to answer it, Gary, but I'll just ask anyway. every team, not just Rangers, every team, I think in Scotland, or certainly in the Scottish Premiership this year, has got at least one decision that referees have just clearly got wrong. Big decisions that referees clearly got wrong. VAR's there, and they're still getting it wrong. How do you change that? Because the performances by referees this season, I mean, they're handing out, the SFA are handing out apologies to clubs almost every week at this point. How do you fix this? I guess there's not going to be a short-term answer, but
no, it's a difficult one, mate, because like a lot of you, and there'll be a lot of guys in a similar position myself, qualified refs, watching it and going, and we'll know a lot of the guys personally as well sometimes, and you go, how the hell has he done that? What is he seeing there, kind of thing, and why is that not getting overturned? If it's on the park, mistakes can happen. Sometimes it's a really blatant looking thing when you watch on telly from the stands, and as a ref, you can just be really unlucky and be at a dodgy angle, or someone runs across your path. That can happen, right? But with the VR, in multiple angles, you're seeing it perfectly and you're still getting it wrong. I don't think there's any excuse for it. I really don't. And a lot of these decisions aren't even that subjective. A lot of them are quite objective and they're still getting it wrong. I really don't know is the honest answer, mate. I know it's not the answer you're looking for, but again, you don't have to be a qualified ref to see most of these decisions. There's some nuances with decisions like the handball rules and stuff like that, where you do have to kind of know the rule a little bit. But generally speaking, most of these decisions that's gone wrong are just kind of common sense. And there's no really a good explanation why they've gone wrong so often.
No, I understand. It it's really difficult. You need to keep that line because it is difficult for referees. But yeah, when you've got that extra time and all the different camera angles for VAR to look at it, I still don't understand why they're getting it wrong so often. Yeah.
I mean, totally. I'm on a Scottish Cup amateur game this Saturday. No doubt I'll be getting abuse from both sides at various points in the game. But again, I'd love the luxury of having a wee camera I can go and check and review any of that, but you just don't have it. But I don't think there's any excuse when you're seeing the multiple angles, even though the Scottish angles you're getting aren't great compared to what you see in Match of the Day with the English Premier League. There's still enough there that you can come to this decision 99.9% of the time.
Yeah.
Billy, just come in, mate.
Okay, sorry, mate. Gary, I just had a kind of a 2-point thing, not related to yesterday's games, but I would say fans across Scottish football have a concern of the quality of refereeing in Scotland. You're seeing other guys coming through in training. Are you hopeful for the future that we're going to have a good crop of referees coming through? And I've got another point about VAR, if I can say. Do you think you need to be have served time as a qualified referee, or could we train VAR officials purely just to work on VAR without needing to go through years of referee training?
I'll start with your first one, mate. I've kind of come away from being like not a full-time ref, but as committed as I was before, for family reasons, just getting time back home with the family. So I'm not as involved in the training and seeing these sort of guys coming through as much anymore. What I'll comment on is there's a few guys doing this sort of Premier League now that I was quite pal with, and I've been on games where it's sort of non-league level and stuff like that. And I'm not going to name names, obviously, but they were really pretty good at that level. Now, I don't know what they've done since then, because maybe been 2-3 years ago since that time. But it's just, a lot of these guys are the ones that's kind of getting called out now for making a lot of big profile mistakes in the Premier League. So I don't know what's happened in the meantime. However, these guys were performing quite well at times. There's a few that got promoted. You were like, really? I'm getting promoted? But generally speaking, it was the better guys that was getting promoted. So it's hard to say really, mate, where it's went wrong. Is it the pressure? It just not cut out for that high profile game? I don't know. But there's a couple. I've got a good mate that's category 1 just now. He's not quite made Premier League level, but he is pretty good. I'm quite confident he will be good at that level as well. Quite level-headed guy. Since he might prove me wrong, but he's pretty good his whole career so far. So we'll see how he does. What was your second point again, mate? Sorry, my head.
It was around purely training people to work VAR that don't have maybe years of refereeing experience, because it seems like you don't really need the in-game management of the side of things. The refereeing, you could purely look at it from the laws of the game, and as you say, subjective. Objective decisions being a lot easier to make if you've just been trained in that one particular role. I just wonder if that could be something we could look at, or you think there is a lot of benefit in having a lot of years experience refereeing as well.
I think it's a bit of both, mate, because there's guys now that are specialist VAR, so don't actually do games. They only do a VAR duty. So I think like Andrew Dallas was on the game yesterday. I think that's his role now. I don't think he actually does games as a ref anymore. It definitely makes sense because you get used to the technology and finding the angles quicker and sort of improving the supporter experience in that as well. But I think what you're saying is going the complete opposite for what you hear on TV a lot, where they want ex-players involved because of that game experience. I think you've got to find a balance in between, because if you're purely a VAR ref, you've never been on the pitch, never been on the grass, if you like, and been involved in the game, you don't really get the feel for what's happened, especially if you've never even played the game before yourself. It's hard to sort of know exactly what's happening or what the intentions are until you've seen it in the flesh when you've been 5-10 yards away from it, and you can relate back to those instances in your head. What has he been trying to do there? And you try and give him the benefit of the doubt almost. In terms of, I just don't think it would be ideal, because you would get a lot of kind of crazy, really officious calls coming in my opinion, that would anger people even more than it is currently.
Right.
And again, the similar argument with ex-players, I think when you listen to them as pundits, they're not the greatest in terms of knowing the laws of the game. So they do everything from a player perspective. And it would be a bit hectic. I just think you have to get the current guys, getting in referees that are doing it maybe 1-2 Saturdays a month, and then they're on the pitch the other 2 Saturdays of the month. That's the perfect scenario. We just need to be the right character to make the big calls and just not getting them wrong, essentially. I know that sounds very simple, but that's where we are just now. And it's not even just Scotland, to be honest, mate. It's when you watch England as well, it seems to be a British thing. You don't see too much yet on the continent. There seems to be a lot of controversy in Britain in both leagues.
No, thanks very much.
Oh, Gary, thank you for coming on, mate. Give us some rationale behind it. Yes, what I was looking for. So thanks again for coming on, but hope you're well.
No worries. Cheers, guys. All the best. All right.
Cheers, mate. Right, so Andrew, you can make it up.
It's always good to hear from Gary. I think he's a very, very level-headed man that does look at things methodically, and it is refreshing to see. And you do need to take a step back sometimes and look at things. I looked at the Cornelius challenge yesterday, and it's good that Gary has explained that, because he wasn't too high. He did get the ball, and it wasn't endangering. He's caught the other player's foot. It's not high up. The Asgard red cards, it is a red card. Yes, he's looking at the ball, but he's following through. Yeah, it's not on purpose, but it's a red card. You'd expect that given against, if that was on the other side. The one for me is that trusty one. It still does not make any sense whatsoever when he's almost angling away from him, but then just sticks the foot in and kicks him in the head. You look at what's being made now about head knocks in football and potential injuries, concussion subs now as well. There's a lot made about head injuries in football because it's a massive thing. There's a lot of players now who are of a certain age now who have got severe issues from heading the ball and things like that when they've been former players, and something like that is just disgraceful. There's no excuse for it, and it was such a vital point of the game as well. We are down to 10 men, it's 1-0 down at half time, and it was just so unnecessary because Butland's got the ball for about 3 seconds before he connects with them. It's not as if he's in a direct line of sight. It's ridiculous, and I'm sorry, what is the reason for that? Obviously James Tavernier was speaking and said that there wasn't enough force. Come on, that's rubbish. That shows that they looked at that and thought, right, okay, so that's probably justified. Okay, we'll play on. No, you've just been kicked in the head while on the floor. It's not as if the ball was right there and Butland's moved the ball out the way and he's in the line of the shot or something ridiculous. There's nothing that can justify kicking someone in the head in a game where it's even given the referee an opportunity to kind of level the playing field, because some refs will look at a game and, it's just natural in any job that you do. You'll look at something and go, oh, did I do that right? Did I do that right? It was an easy way to restore kind of order and kind of level things out. Not saying that Asgard, by the way, shouldn't have been red carded. As I've said, he should have been. There was just so much in that game. And like I said, it's the free kicks, the amount of free kicks, compared to both sides. Now, Diamande can niggle out sometimes, and we've seen that from him, but there's nothing like the way that Maeda does in these games and seems to always really be very good at it and get away with a lot. But Trusty kicking Butland in the head, nah, that doesn't fly right with me, sorry.
Brian, why is this happening? Why is there so many decisions going against us in Old Firm games?
Standard referee, like we said in the members podcast earlier on, that if you pay peanuts, this is what you get, because you don't pay these referees a lot of money, and this is the standard that you get. If you want top level officiating, you've got to pay top level money. So to get guys, but to kind of go over Old Rope, and apologies to our members that are tuning in that maybe tuned in earlier. Just an idea that I floated at the weekend was, why are the SFA, rather than spending £1.2 million a year, I think we're talking about, there was $100,000 each team for VAR. So why are they not going out and employing top guys? Why are they not going over to Spain, going over to Italy, going over to America, all these different countries around the world, and actually saying, who's your best referee? We'd like to give him a job. And just speak to the person and say, how would you like to fancy coming and living in Scotland and being our referee? And we're going to give you a right good, handsome salary to come across and be a referee in our league, and just employ them full time. It solves so many issues from it. It takes away the kind of idea that there's corruption and there's favouritism, and what school did this guy go to, and was he ever a member of this supporters club and stuff like that. The guys come from France, the guys come from the continent, whatever. It's a way, and you just employ them full time and give them jobs, and that's a way you can raise standards. And then these guys bring up apprentices, the guys that will come in and say, right, I'm going to take you, I'm your full time, I'm your mentor. I'm going to show you how I referee football games. You're going to watch me, you're going to come along, and you're going to copy what I do, and eventually you're going to take over from me. And that's hopefully a way that we can solve it. We need to throw money at it. It's as simple as that.
Definitely. There's nothing there I can disagree with. Billy, same question to you in terms of why you think this is happening, and is a solution foreign referees?
I just want to. I don't often disagree with Ryan, but mate, I don't think it's the standard of refereeing. I also don't think it's blatant cheating. I think what has happened, and sorry to put my tinfoil hat on, is a certain team in this country have created an atmosphere where if a referee makes a mistake, they will be hounded by the people in the press, and we all know who these people in the press are. Newspaper articles have been written. There's even random referees from nowhere being brought out today to say that shouldn't have been a red card, but we all know it should. There's a fear of getting the window smashed in. There is just a fear around being able to referee a game properly, refereeing what they see. Because if you look at that yesterday, the kick on the head, he's staring right at it. He knows what's happened, and also the penalty. He's staring right at the penalty incident. And was it take about 3 minutes for it to actually be officially awarded? And it's like he's looking for ways to not give it, because he knows if Rangers going to win this, he's in for it for the next couple of weeks. He probably gets demoted as well for under the table. So I think it's that is the reason. And sorry, ask me something else at the end, mate. About a different thing. Foreign referees, sorry. Yeah, because I'd be flying these guys. Ryan's saying throw money at it. Yeah, but don't move them here. Fly them in for every single, especially the big games, because if they live here, they'll get the same treatment and they'll get the same fear of repercussions if they referee the game properly. As Gary's saying, he's known some of these guys coming through. They weren't bad referees a couple of years ago. So why are they making demonstrably wrong decisions now? There must be something else to it. It can't be that they've suddenly become bad referees.
Interesting. Craig, what about you? What's your thoughts on the general? I'm just going to come right out and say it. Is it, corruption? Billy mentions about the kind of culture. Ryan touched upon this in the members pod earlier on. Like, it seems to me that Celtic have created a culture in this country via the media to almost get themselves like one up before a game started. If that makes any sense. Now, should Rangers be doing the same thing, or should we maintain our dignity and do what we've done tonight, which via Patrick Stewart speaking to Willie Collin? What's your thoughts on it? Is it bias via our referees, and the Rangers need to start making more of a noise via the media on this?
It's a very loaded question to answer. I think it's corruption. No, I don't think it's. I don't think there's corruption. Is there maybe a little bit of bias? Maybe they feel like Billy said, that that there's they need to referee the game a certain way. Potentially, I suppose. Like, this is a team, Celtic, that have won so much for so many years that they've got used to it, to the point where if it doesn't go their way, things are disaster. Simply look at the how the fans reacted when they weren't going to win the league during the COVID season. I'm sure there's been stories before of referees' houses being attacked. Forgive me if I'm wrong. Don't want to put something out there that isn't true, but I'm pretty sure that's happened. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing that. So maybe referees, maybe there is a little bit of bias due to that. Maybe there's certain people in the media stirring that up. But it's a thing where I wouldn't stoop to that level. You have to go through the proper ways of doing things, and it's better to keep your dignity and lose than go absolutely mental and still lose. Do you know what I mean? So it's a difficult thing to talk about. It's a difficult thing to answer, but there's I still don't believe there's corruption. I think it's more what Billy said. And in terms of flying in foreign referees, I mean, they've done it before. 2010, I think it was. So, I think. Do you remember? I think referees went on strike, something like that, and they flew in. I don't see why they can't do that again, and just remove that feeling. Certainly for big games, cup finals, Old Firm games, that sort of thing. They should they should look in and doing that again. Like Ryan said, the points have already been made, but like Ryan said, just throw money at it and get the standard higher, because we're seeing so many issues, so many wrong decisions, that it shouldn't be allowed to continue.
Well, do you know what? The points you make there, actually, some very good points. One thing that I will hark back to, now, like you say, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't believe that there's some kind of underground conspiracy where everything points in one direction. But one thing I will say, that Celtic AGM a few years ago, Ian Bankier, he said refs are of deep concern. He was speaking about one referee in particular that day. Do you know who that referee was? Nick Walsh. He was referencing Nick Walsh from the Premier Sports Cup semi-final back in, it must have been 2021. And it seems to be since then, things have changed a little bit. Now, guys, what do you think? In the comments, what do you reckon? Are we through the looking glass here? Is this now just going to be a common occurrence? We were joking in the group chat over the weekend, before the game. Oh, what bad decisions are going to happen this time? and it is all the time, and it is all the time. We're sick of looking at it. We're sick of hearing it. We're sick of thinking about it all the time because it is becoming ridiculous, and it really, really is. Ryan, what is the way to stop this? What do you believe is the way to end this right now? And is it a level playing field?
That's that. You just got to keep asking questions and keep kind of pulling things up. I think Stuart McCollum tonight's an example. Do you know, there was a famous one years and years ago that we felt aggrieved at a Scottish Cup replay years and years ago, and Rangers didn't show up. Just didn't show up. Went to air races, and I'm talking 140, 100, over 100 years ago, and that's what Rangers did. They just didn't go. Simple as that. We just didn't show up. Players all went to air races, and we forfeited the cup on principle because we felt as if we were cheated to bring the cup final to a replay. So do we need to start doing extreme things? That's extreme. No showing up's extreme. But we've got to do something to get things noticed. Yeah, it's just getting borderline ridiculous. You're just seeing there's these clips that are coming through. It's madness. The Gassama one that we were looking at a few minutes ago there where he's fouled, I think it was about the kind of 75th, 80th minute. He's knocked the ball past Ralston into the space. He's going to be bearing in goal, and he's just blocked him. He's just done what most good fullbacks would do. And you know, I would expect my fullback to do the same thing if I was turned. He's fouled him. Now, it's 110% a foul. It's a foul every single day of the week. Is it a yellow card? Probably. Is it a second yellow card? Probably. So, but the fact that he's just put his hands up and said that's not a foul, mate, how can that not be a foul? How can that not be a foul? He's impeded him. He stood up and pushed him to the ground to stop him running past him because he was going to go in and go. It's madness, absolute madness. And we've got to document these things. We've got to take these things to the SFA and say, look at all this. Look how bad this is. Why are you employing these people? And just ask the question. We're a member of the SFA. We're a member club. Surely our opinion matters when it comes to these things. There's one there. Shocking.
No, I totally agree. Scotty, what do you reckon? How do you feel about all this right now? It's turning into years now, isn't it?
It's been going on for years. I'm not saying about the bias that Nick Walsh is a Celtic fan and all this. I'm not going down that road because I've been in the group chats and I've tried to keep a lid on this topic for ask Tomo probably since the journal started. I've been very much against doing something like this and calling something like this out because I don't feel it's the Rangers' way to do this, but we're now at a stage where it's happening far, far too often and it does need called out, Andrew. It's Celtic have created a narrative via media. It's through mind games they've done it. Whether that's benefiting them or not in terms of preferential decisions on the park, it looks like it. I'm trying to be. I mean, look, how is that not a red card? He's got his hands in the ball and he gets kicked in the face, and there's no excessive force on that. I'm sorry, that is an utter pile of dross, man. It is utter nonsense that a professional referee has gave that explanation to your captain. It's an utter nonsense. That's a red card all day. A complete and utter red card all day. I'm not really bothered about Ralston and not getting sent off. No, this is the one that annoys me because it's there. We've got TV cameras all over the place. It's got VAR. There's no reason. And another thing, Andrew, it couldn't wait to get a game started any quicker. The game was back on. It was the same way Asgard's tackle. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a sending off, right? Done. Like there's no going about it. Asgard is definitely deserving of a sending off, but so are they here. They should have been doing it 10 men, and it should have been a level playing field in the second half. God knows how we would have done the second half, 10v10. But I mean, it's as blatant as you're ever going to see a red card in a game. Like you say, there's campaigns about dementia and stuff now and all the rest of it. Like, for Easels, you're allowed to hit the ball a certain amount of time in training. This is one of the worst ones I've seen. probably the worst, to be honest with you. I was actually flabbergasted about it at the time. He lifts his leg as Butland takes the ball in. He kicked Butland in the face.
He diverts his leg the other way as well. He's going one way and he puts his leg the other way.
Can I come in there, Andrew?
Go for it.
See, one thing that's probably a difference between Asgard's red card and that, potentially being a red card. See, when Asgard fouls Ralston, their players go loopy. Absolutely loopy and surround the referee. Don't see the same for our players. I certainly don't see it from our captain. They're just quite happy just to get the game on. Our players should have went absolutely bonkers when that happened at the referee. And that's the difference. That's the difference between Callum McGregor getting accused of refereeing games and Tavernier doesn't. And this is where the strength of the captain is so important in these types of games. Our players should have went absolutely haywire when our goalkeeper got kicked in the head yesterday, and they didn't.
Actually, I have to agree there. I totally agree. It was a melee broke out, didn't it? It looked like everyone was going to sock each other in the face when Asgard got sent off, and the referee was straight out with the red card. And yeah, it was a bit definitely different, and that's where the captain's got to lead and be in the ref's face, because that's what they do. They are that annoying kid in the playground that's up to the teacher's face every 2 minutes. He's doing this, they're doing this. That is what they do, and they hound the officials, and the officials seem to take it. They don't seem to go, right, step back, let me deal with this, go away. They don't. You know, McGregor's always in the face. One thing that really pees me off about this whole situation is how this looks to the rest of the world. Now, you see down in England, Mike Dean yesterday saw that basically the trustee incident on Butland, and he just literally says, what is the use? What is the point in VAR if that goes completely unpunished? How many times are we on, Sky Sports when they do their kind of referee review show down south? Now, obviously, this game wasn't looked at today because this was on Premier Sports, so Sky Sports probably don't have the rights. But you've got Dermot Gallagher, who's, let's not mince it, he's a Celtic fan, and he is. He's a well-known Celtic fan, but the amount of times he said that they have got that wrong for Rangers consistently tells you all you need to know. Craig, I know we're kind of going over old ground a little bit with some of this, but it's an embarrassing look to the rest of the UK, isn't it? The only time we ever really are in the news is games like this and this trustee incident, and obviously Mike Dean is absolutely slating the officials and the processes, because obviously they're not doing it right.
Yeah. Look, I've already said, look, it's not just right that it's not just Rangers. They're handing out apologies to clubs almost every week at this point for poor decisions, and they've got VAR there to help them, and they're still getting it wrong. So yeah, it's at this point, how do you sort this? How do you make it better? You can. These guys are here. They're making the decisions they're making, and there's nothing you can do to make these guys do their job more efficiently. One thing I noted down there, I didn't want to forget for next time I came on. A couple of years ago, I believe it was five or six Scottish clubs, Rangers were one of them, put forward an idea to have an independent investigation on the standard of refereeing in Scottish football. And yeah, I think Aberdeen were one. I believe Hearts were there. There was a few clubs, and it went to a vote with the Scottish Premiership clubs, and it ended up getting knocked back because not enough clubs backed it. If everyone's been struggling with these decisions for years, why not have an investigation into how things are done? What are you scared that's going to come up if you don't have this investigation? Something
a question, isn't it?
Yeah. Like why not investigate it? There is the other point that we should make coming away from referees, which is Rangers weren't good enough yesterday. Rangers were not good enough yesterday. Let's make that entirely clear as well. This isn't just about the fact that Trusty didn't get sent off. Rangers actually played better with 10 men than they did with 11, which is, I try and work that one out. I'm not sure. Danny Roll, I think, should get a lot of praise for how he handled it yesterday. I think his decision to take off the midfield players and put on attacking players in the midfield, he had Gassama kind of in the midfield, he took Diamande off, he put Ant-Man on for Raskin. I think that was a smart decision to try and push the team forward. In the end, you've been playing for so long with a man down, eventually you run out of steam. But you know, you would be able to accept it more if there wasn't such glaring referee decisions. Again, this goes for every club. There was an offside at the weekend for Hibs against Livingston, and when you look at the camera angle, they have the VAR lines drawn. You still can't tell if the guy's onside or not because the camera's in such a stupid position. So it's not just us, it's not just Rangers. There's so many teams have got issues with referees, and it's going to cost. In the end, it's going to cost players a lot. It's going to cost clubs a lot of money because if you're a team that's battling relegation and you've got bad decisions going against you and you don't gain enough points to win to stay up, that costs you a lot of money to get relegated. You lose a lot of money getting relegated. So it affects so many people, and it's just so purely done, just so openly. Just I'm trying to get the words out. It's just so poor. The standard of officiating is just so poor.
Yeah. No, it definitely is, and there have been many clubs affected by bad decisions, and especially that. I remember seeing that at the weekend, the way the lines were drawn and the camera angle's terrible, and there does need to be more cameras. There needs to be cameras that have higher refresh rates so you can get the exact moment the ball is connected with, because sometimes there's a frame or two missing. But you talk about the finances there, and obviously the finances that affect these clubs being relegated. Well, look at the finances that affected us not winning cup finals. Julian's offside goal. Granted, there was no VAR then. It's Seamer's disallowed goal for absolutely nothing. Cherry penalty that wasn't given. It's more out. This is with VAR. This is with the backup tool to stop you making mistakes. But mistakes still are happening. You get Trusty yesterday volleying Butland in the head, but don't worry, it's not enough force, so that's all fine. Don't you worry. And then you've got the situation with Ralston and the potential second yellow for the handball. Scotty, do you think that is a second yellow card for the handball? Now, I know some say that he's not got his hand out, it's a natural position. For me, it's not actually a natural position. A natural position would be putting your arm out towards the floor to break your fall. So you can stop the ball going in the net with your arm as long as you are, kind of in a natural position. Is that what they're trying to say with that?
I'm unsure, to be honest with you. I think it's more like Craig says, I want to kind of focus on a performance yesterday now, because that is what it is. We're only good enough Celtic won a game. We shouldn't need assistance for the refs to get done. All you're wanting is like a wee bit of transparency and a fair crack at it. Andrew, you're just wanting things to be fairly done, and it's not been fairly done recently. Get back to the Dessers goal at Ibrox under Michael Beale, that kicked Lager Bielka supposedly. You get back to there, and I think that's kind of where this bad luck, if you want to call it that, started. But I think, as Craig says, I think we also need to focus on the fact that we weren't good enough yesterday. Yeah. I had Joe Cran on earlier on, who's a Sheffield Wednesday journalist. That's on my YouTube page. Go and watch it, guys. And what he says about Danny Rowe is, he says that he fixes an awful lot of things in the game at half time. Which I think you can clearly see. Yesterday, Celtic were a better team. First half deserved the lead. There's no doubt about it. But then we came out, and I think we were better for maybe 35 minutes, say second half with 10 men. After we get one goal, we could have not be part and won it, to be fair, on a break. But there's things that were done wrong yesterday. Like Giga shouldn't have started. I was saying that to Ryan earlier on today. Giga shouldn't. It was a bag of nerves. Diamande, what did he really offer in midfield? I don't think he offered much, which is kind of surprising for him in an Old Firm game. Raskin again was underwhelming first half, but he was starting to grow into his influence was growing into the game, and then he gets whipped off. You know, all this is the kind of stuff that Danny Rowe will learn to me. So we get beat, right? Whether you want to say it was fair and square or no, that's down to your opinion. I'll never take anybody's opinion after them. But for me, Rangers could have been a lot better yesterday than what they were. And Yusuf Shamiti, Jesus man, I thought I disliked Cyril Dessers with so many chances Big D missed. Jesus.
Yeah, let's look at that first half, because it was a very poor first half from us. We looked a bit scared and we just seemed to wilt under the pressure. Stevie, welcome to the pod, mate. How you doing, pal? Can you hear us, Stevie? Stevie.
Evening, Andrew. Evening, lads. I'm good, thank you.
Good,
you
man,
hear me?
good man. How?
You not hear me?
Yeah, no, we can hear you. We can hear you, mate. So, how was your feeling on the game yesterday as a whole, mate?
The first half was pretty dreadful. We never really turned up, but I mean, we've been mostly rubbish for the last 3 months, so was it entirely unexpected. Sending off with Asgard was the correct decision. It was high. And then Trusty, I've been watching you guys. When the Trusty challenging Butland, I mean, it's not even a debate. Anywhere else in the world, goalkeeper gets kicked in the head, it's a sending off. You know, he's not, the ball's not been alive, the ball's been dead for a couple of seconds. You know, here we go. Ball's dead. Got it, look, what's the need? What's the need to put your foot like that? You know, that's a sending off all day long. Not even a debate. He's talking about the force. To have a post-match, he said the referee, his rationale was there wasn't enough force to warrant a red card. So by that rationale, in the next Old Firm game, can Asgard walk up to Ralston and punch him in the face, but only a 20% punch, not a full force punch, and say that's just a yellow card, ref? It's ridiculous. It's no even, like I say, it's no debate. Never he's got that wrong. It's a red card. But I thought second half we really kind of dug in. Previous managers, I think, would have folded there and really just, been out of the game pretty quickly. But you could see they were really trying, like every single one-on-one battle, they were going for it. They were sticking to their man. They were really putting the yards in. And I thought it was brave for Rowe as well, obviously changing the formation, going a bit more attacking. Even though we're down to 10 men, he's like, let's go for it. So I think there's a lot to admire. We lost yesterday, but I wasn't too despondent, more obviously annoyed with the decisions that have gone against us. Gary was great earlier, by the way, really good insight for guys. But yeah, I thought the second half were vastly improved, but obviously we played with 10 men for most 90 minutes in the extra time, so they were always going to kind of tail off, which is what happened, unfortunately. But we did miss so many sitters. Scotty talking about Chernetti there, I mean, he really is frustrating the life at you. At one point in the first half, I think just before they had the first goal chopped off, he was spinning about like a helicopter out of control. He was just, I don't know what he was even doing. But yeah, he's obviously got to be much better. But I thought, there was enough there to say Rowe's really made a difference in 2 weeks. I think there's enough fight and determination that kind of, look at the rest of the season and think, once this guy gets his own players in, I think there's a lot to come for this guy.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Let's look at that first half, Ryan. We just looked so nervous. We couldn't really pass the ball too well. We were making mistakes in the back line. We had that howler of an own goal, which was just absolutely insane. Luckily, it was offside, and luckily that was a get out of jail. But it didn't really put a spring in our step where we thought, right, let's now play. It just wasn't working for us in that first half, was it?
No, I think that's something we suffer from for a good few years now, is that when something bad happens, we don't react very well. If we lose a goal, we don't all of a sudden start, rising to the occasion as such. If we get a bad decision against us and stuff, we just don't seem to be doing very well in that kind of side of things. I'll be honest, there's been a lot of praise for Rowe, how he's changed things and how he handled the situation. And I thought if that situation had happened under Russell Martin, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind we'd have got absolutely hiding, right? We'd have probably been away at half time, being honest. But I don't think I'd have played the team that he played. I think he's actually went out probably too cautious and too defensive. And I know that we've not been playing great and we don't really have the right to go out with a positive mentality as such, but I thought we missed a trick not playing Gassama against Ralston. I thought that was an area of the park that we could have really, really exploited and got at him really early doors. We know he's probably their weakest player. We know that Scales isn't particularly great, but we chose to play Chermiti against Scales. And I think that as well, the Giga one, it was plainly obvious after 15, 20 minutes, he's having a nuke here. He's having an absolute bomb scare. I had a quite happily shuffled Tavernier inside one and brought Aarons on, purely just for an easy change to make. You've also got Big Fernandez sitting there, but I think we don't really need to be playing 3 centre-halves against the boy Kenny up front. And no offence to him, he scored a goal yesterday and he's had a hand in winning them the game yesterday. But if you look at the strikers that we faced in year going by, Moussa Dembele, Kyogo, Onsen Edouard, Lee Griffiths, guys like that, why are we fearing this boy Kenny? Why are we thinking we need to play 3 centre-halves against him? If we play, don't get me wrong, if we play Cornelius and Suter, we play Tav there, Tav's then got a licence to overlap with Aarons, and they can actually start going ahead and start getting at their left back and doing an overload there. That then possibly pushes them to that side of the park because we've got an overload and Gassama's got opportunity to go in there and cause damage as well. I just don't think we'll get his team right. I think that was probably something. I think we're just that wee bit too defensive minded. I don't know what Lyle Cameron needs to do to get in this squad. I can't understand what's wrong with Cameron. I wouldn't have Curtis and Moore on the bench together. I think they're too similar. I think they both bring you the kind of same options there. I think if you get Lyle Cameron on the bench instead of Curtis, I think that just gives you another option there. If you think about how much we needed a set of legs in the middle of the park, and especially going into extra time, we brought on Rothwell for legs. We've spoke about all season how Rothwell doesn't look fit and how Cameron's got a great engine and great industry. That would have been a far better option for us. And he's got a wee bit of a goal threat about him as well. So it's there. But I think that I just think if he could probably turn the clock back, I think he'd maybe lined his team up a little bit better. And he's got to learn. Rowe's got to kind of learn for these things. And I think we've got to start doing things better from corners. We're losing goals from crosses all the time. Considering we've got 3 colossal centre-halves there, and we've also got the guy up front who's played for us, who I can't believe we paid £8 million. Yusuf Chermiti's going to get Kevin Thelwell the sack. It's as simple as that. And I think Yusuf Chermiti, by the end of the season, will probably picked up more bookings for Rangers than they all picked up goals for Rangers. That's my prediction right now. So
yeah, no, it's not looking good, is it?
It's just no. And if you think about the goals that we've let leave our squad in Dessers and Egeman and in Thomas Tierney, or Václav Tierney, sorry. There's so many goals that we've had to replace, and we brought this boy in. And Majovski's not liking the header up either. Majovski never won a header all day against Trusty. He's not won one single header from the long ball there. So Majovski needs to need more out of him. We need more out of a lot of boys. But I think particularly up front, we're getting nothing. We don't look as if we can score goals. We don't look dangerous going forward. We look very easy to play against, and it's like taking sweeties off babies, man. It's not good enough.
Yeah. Comments come in here, guys. Keep your comments coming in. While you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the Rangers Journal. Don't forget you can join and become a member as well. All the information is on the YouTube page. Please do. There's lots of extra content if you do become a member. Comment here from King Rec. Chermiti will get roller sack if he keeps playing him. Well, I'm not going to go into too much, but allegedly there's not much of a choice in that matter of playing him. So read into that what you will. It was a frustrating first half for Rangers yesterday, Craig. You looked at the bench, though, and you thought, you know what, our bench is definitely stronger than Celtic's bench. Do you think the plan was maybe to just keep it tight into the second half and then really go for them while they tire?
Potentially, but if that's your plan, why not just go for it from the first whistle? You know, I don't think there's anything to fear with them. I don't think there needs to be this. Let's be cautious of them and then have a go. You should be having a go from the first whistle. I didn't think Giga would play. And then when he was playing, I wasn't too sure about it. I would rather have Tavernier in as that third centre half, and then have a winger playing fullback. Have Gassama playing fullback. have someone who's more, forward thinking, playing as wing back, as opposed to having a more sort of traditional full back playing as the wing back. The one thing that stood out for me when we were trying to go forward, especially down the left hand side with Magoma, is that he was caught in a 2-on-1 against almost every time. He had the Celtic winger and the Celtic full back up against him. Maybe once Asgard sent off, maybe it's just because we're too stretched because we're a man down. But I thought we neutralised ourselves a bit with the shape. I think there needed to be more of a winger on the pitch to sort out the situation we're trying to get wide. The strikers, we've already touched on the strikers. The strikers none of them are playing right now. Danilo's closest one, but he's not getting anywhere near what we need to get us, because we need a striker that's going to score 20 plus goals, and we haven't got one. Chances are Danilo's going to be injured again, because he's spent most of his time here injured. Chermiti, I've said before, he's never a Rangers player. We'll never get a player out of this guy who's spent so much money on this guy, and we're never going to see a decent player out of him. And Miovski has shown he can score goals at this level. I think he's just struggling. I think he's a bit rusty. He hadn't played much when he was away in Spain, and it's just a work in progress. I think, again, we've said Danny Rose will learn. He's got a lot to learn at managing at this level. I'm just going over all points, but this is at least at the very point. The one good thing we can take from this is that with Danny Rowe, we've got a guy we can give time to, and we've seen enough from the games that he's played that he's someone we can back to. Give him money and give him time to build something. A little bit like how people felt about Gerrard.
Actually, I do like the comparison a little bit to Gerrard there, because I was going to make a point, Scotty, about that second half and how there was definitely one heck of a team talk from Roll. We seemed much more organised, we seemed better, and actually in that second half we were the better team. We were just lacking a little bit up top. To equalise and to play the majority of that game with 10 men, to go into the 90th minute 1-1, that was a pretty good comeback, wasn't it?
100%, aye. Team showed character. But former manager Russell Martin was questioning mentality, anxiety, all this type of stuff. Players are proving it's just excuses now. I know we didn't get the job done and get it over the line yesterday, but at the same time, to get down to 10 men and produce a second half performance, well, that's really, really good. Also, I see that there's some comments coming in about Tavernier. None of his defence would get a game in the 55 season and all this kind of stuff. James Tavernier was the best player yesterday. Absolutely immense. He was everywhere. Shouldn't need that for a 34-year-old guy right enough. We need to get a replacement in and start phasing this bloke out of the team. He's still got it. He's still producing the goods. He's still coming up big for us in big moments. But he's going to end up getting really, really tired soon, man. He's just going to crash and bump. That's my worry with James Tavernier. I thought yesterday he really did lead by example, and it was a captain's performance. He's maybe not the type of captain that the likes of Stevie, myself, Ryan maybe are used to, in terms of, I'm used to Barry Ferguson and getting in people's faces and shouting and bawling at your teammates. That's a captain for me. And Tav does it by leading through example. I thought he was immense yesterday. Covered every blade of grass. I seen him moving into midfield at one point as well. So kudos to the team for the effort they put in the second half. Unfortunately, extenuating circumstances mean that we didn't get points, mitigating factors if you want to call them that. Basically, I'm sorry, but it's the referee's fault that we're not in a cup final, Andrew.
Yeah, no,
even though we weren't good enough. Even
Yeah,
though
no. Both things can be true, Scotty. Both things can be true. Stevie, one thing I wanted to look at as well, late on in the game, when we were 1-0 down, Nicholas Raskin came off, probably because he was on a yellow card and he hadn't had the best kind of game. Oliver Antman came on, a guy we've not really seen too much of in recent weeks. We didn't really have a recognised midfielder. Did that hurt us then going later on into the game and then eventually into extra time?
Yeah, mate. I mean, I felt a bit sorry for him and for Rowe, because ultimately Raskin was goosed. You know, he'd run his game. He didn't have any more in his legs, so he had to be replaced. And Antman was the guy that was there. Again, I think it was a wee bit bold. You know, he's thinking, well, Antman can maybe get us something, maybe get an assist, maybe create something. So at least he's tried to go for it, I think. Because, you know, semi-finals, it's extra time. You need to go and try and actually win the game. I get we're 10 men, but I think that was just a circumstance. See, going back a wee bit, I kind of joined late. You were asking the boys before if you thought it was corruption. Can you ask me that question?
What do you reckon to the refereeing yesterday? Obviously, it is something that it's not just a one-off bad mistake, is it? What do you think, Stevie? Now, I know you're going to keep your cards close to your chest here. So, what do you reckon, Stevie?
I mean, seeing as you ask me, I think it's institutional bias. You've laid out so many examples there, like so many instances where mistakes have been made. It's gone on for so long. I don't want to sound like a conspiracy nut. I probably do sound like a conspiracy nut. Like Celtic fans used to sound like in the 1990s. But ultimately, you've laid out so much there, like so many examples, and it keeps happening. To me, it's like there's too much consistency with the mistakes for it to be incompetence. I think genuinely, obviously, we were away down the leagues coming back up. Celtic have monopolised, you know, the SFA, the referees, whatever. I mean, Murdo McLennan, is that his name? He was the guy who was in charge of referees. This is a guy who worked for Dermot Desmond, the owner of Celtic. You know, he's been put in charge of referees a few years ago. You're telling me that's a fair shake? I don't see it. I just think, you know, they've obviously got so much influence over things. And Nick Walsh, I mean, how many games have we watched? Like Diamandi last season getting sent off at Dundee United for literally nothing. And then later on that night or the next day, rescinded. There's so many other instances with this guy. You just think, how are you getting to be in charge in an Old Firm game? And even I think the VAR for last season, when they've missed the Tierney penalty, I mean, you're telling me they never knew the rules because they looked at that, they saw it was on the line, and they still never gave the penalty. So I don't know. I think it's just there's so much in place to help. I'm not saying obviously we're not a better team than Celtic. They've still won the game. We've missed our chances and they've took theirs, so fair enough. That's what's happened. But ultimately, there's just so much there. And I know people in Scotland say, "Oh, Rangers always used to get decisions and blah blah blah." All firm bias. I don't see all firm bias. I see a bias towards them. So yeah, I think something really needs to change. But you know, this dignified silence is getting us nowhere. So I think we need to have shows like this to highlight how often this happens. A boy I work with, or he's done in our through my work, he works in Wales, one of the offices down there. He messaged me the other day. He's a Man United fan. He's like, "I watched that yesterday. What is going on there? What's that about?" He's like, "Is this typical of Scotland?" I was like, "Well, aye, kinda. The last few years, it really does make us look tin pot. I mean, it's just everybody deserves better. Hibs, oh, I think they had a goal chopped off. Hearts last week, terrible decisions. But when it comes to Old Firm games, especially at Hampden, I don't know. It just seems very, very strange that these decisions keep going that way."
As I said earlier in the pod, which you probably might have missed, Stevie, obviously this is going on for a number of years now with these bad incidences. 2021 Celtic AGM, Ian Bankier, you know, I think this was a bit of a, oh, look, a squirrel kind of moment, because I think there was a lot of things going on at the club at that time. But he said he expressed a deep concern over officiating, and specifically the Premier Sports Cup semi-final referee Nick Walsh was a source of deep concern. So that's from 2021 from Celtic, and it's amazing how things have changed. And it's Chris Jack did put out an article earlier saying that Rangers are exploring their options. They are going to speak to the SFA whether this is going to be another closed door affair. We remember something last year, I can't even remember, there's been so many now, but there was the one that the club were allowed to listen to the VAR audio, and this would have been the Johnson handball, I'm sure. And that audio was never made public to anybody like they do now, where they do make that audio public. They never made that public, and the SFA were angry because this was a closed doors kind of secret meeting, so to speak, and Rangers released a statement about it and saying the audio that they heard doesn't clarify anything. The SFA then put out statements saying, because they were angry that they didn't expect Rangers to be putting out a statement about it, but it does seem that Rangers do have to go a little bit further. Welcome back,
Can I
Billy.
come back really quickly on that, Andrew?
Go for it, Stevie. Go for it,
really
Stevie.
Quick thing, mate. Why not have transparency? There's nothing to hide. If everyone's above board, be transparent. At least then you get an understanding of why that decision's been made. I don't see that as being an unreasonable request. Let's hear that, that audio. And then if we hear it and it's fine, okay, we understand the decision. But make it more transparent. That's not unreasonable.
Yeah, that's the thing. It isn't unreasonable, is it? If you can have a system where even at the end of a match, the referee speaks. Now, I know obviously referees don't speak and don't generally do this, but if you could nip it in the bud at the end of the match and go, oh, this is the reason why, here's the audio, and this is the reason why we came to this decision, I think it makes things a bit easier and shuts things down. We don't have that. We don't have that avenue. We have to wait maybe a week or 2 weeks for the VAR show when Gordon Duncan and Willie Collum are there, and Willie Collum's kind of apologising once again for another mistake. But Billy, good to have you back on, mate. We were talking about the actual football for a period of time there, rather than the refereeing decisions.
That sounds boring.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, as boring as the first half was yesterday, we were all over the place in that first half. What did you make of that first half yesterday, Billy?
See, just before I answer that, Andrew, I'm going to just there's a comment. I don't want to miss it. But Freedom of Information Act only applies to governments, so I'm afraid that the SFA and SPFL don't have to give us anything in regards to their private companies' information. So I just seen that as I came back on, and as I said at the beginning of the pod, Andrew, I'm feeling awful, but I felt bad about having to go, so I thought I'll come back for 10 minutes or so on the game. It's very reminiscent of a lot of games we've seen take the referee side of things away from it. We tend to not start too well against them. I would caveat that Barry Ferguson's time as manager, we did actually start fairly well, but the kind of what I remember in the last 5-6 years or so are Celtic dominating most of the first halves, usually getting a goal or two, and then we come out in the second half. But we've seen that under Gerrard for pretty much every single game. Would always, whether it was against Livingston or Dundee or anybody, would start slow and then would come out firing. It's almost like they need the rocket at half time to get them to come back to life. But yeah, what could you really hope for in that second half? I thought we might, if we do come out and do our usual and come out firing, we might get a goal back. But I thought it was a big ask. I always thought this game was going to go to extra time. But with the 10 men, I also felt it was probably going to go in Celtic's way, just purely for having the extra man on the park. What is annoying, disappointing, frustrating is that we played 90 minutes, I think, with 10 men. We probably should only have 10 against 11. We probably should only played 15 minutes. 10 against 11. I don't know if that's been brought up. And certainly in the second half, I think they should have lost one, if not two players as well. So I'm happy with what I've seen in the second half. There is red flags all over that first half and certain elements of the second half. Jiga, he looked very much like a bottom of the first division player, booting the ball out, and then a few minutes later, a ball over the top, and he lets it bounce under his foot, and one of the Celtic players get through on goal. Awful defending, like really schoolboy error kind of stuff. We looked really, really nervous. Shamiti, I heard you mention him as I came back in the room there. I don't know what you can say about this. We have, for never mind your Lorne Shanklins that we could have got for free, we could have spent that money in so many other more important areas, as well as getting a striker. Majowski has been disappointing too. Thought he had a poor game again in the second half when he came on. And it's just, on the footballing side of things, it's just as depressing as the refereeing side of things for me. But that's coming from, two 2 days ago, I was actually really positive on the pods because I thought we looked like we turned the corner on the rule. But these players are just not good enough. He must be so frustrated with the signings that were made in the summer, and hopefully he has got a big say with the American owners on who comes in. And now, not to say that he knows a player any better than Thelwell, but I would give the benefit of the doubt to him on this. Kevin Thelwell cannot be allowed to be. I mean, he's probably going to be, so it doesn't matter me saying that, but he shouldn't be allowed to go back down to the English Championship, English First Division, and pick up their rejects. I mean, why we have Giga at this club, I have no idea, mate. I have no idea. No offense to the big guy. I mean, he's trying, but he's just not got the. He's not got the composure. He's not got the mental. Not capacity, that's not the right word. The mental fortitude, I guess, to play in these big games. It's all very well, playing against Hibs, and Hibs was a big game, but it's all very well playing against lower type sides. But we need to beat Celtic regularly again, and I don't see it happening with him. Where are your Fernandezes? I feel like I've been going on for 10 minutes now. Sorry, guys. I guess I just had a lot to say after yesterday that it wasn't just the referee. So I'll leave it there, Andrew. I'll let you come back with the other guys. That's my thoughts. I thought we obviously did play well. I thought it was always going to be a huge task to win that game, coming from 1-0 down and then going down to 10 men.
Yeah, no, that's a very fair assessment, Billy. No, thank you for that. Craig, looking at the game as a whole yesterday, yes, it's a 3-1 defeat. It's not what you want to see. But there has been some improvement under Rule. I think that is safe to say. I think the players seem to be enjoying the environment. It's definitely been, obviously yesterday, a little bit in isolation, but there's definitely been an improvement in an attacking sense. Do you think we'll build on this now, and do you think we'll go forward to the next few games a bit more positively?
They absolutely should. The next game obviously is a tough one as well on Thursday, Roma. But I don't think there's a lot of expectation there, so you've got a bit of a free hit there. But I believe the next few games, league games, are fairly favourable. I know the next league game is away to Dundee. I can't remember the fixtures off the top of my head, but I think we've got some favourable ones coming up. So
yeah, so it's Dundee, it's Livingston at home, Falkirk at home, Dundee United away, Kilmarnock away. Right,
yeah, so you've got a good chance to get, at very least, those 5 games. You're looking at least, you should be looking at least 10 points, and that's on a low level. You should really be pushing towards 5 wins out of 5 there. I think that in terms of what we've seen so far, Brand game, we'll give him a buy on that one. He's only been in the door, but I think when you look at the Kilmarnock and the Hibs game, the thing that got me the most is the work off the ball. It's just simply how much more difficult it seems to be to break us down. Especially Easter Road. Hibs had a fair amount of the ball. I think possession was almost 50-50 for the game. Hibs had a fair amount of the ball, and they just really struggled. And Hibs is a team that I think, certainly Easter Road, I know Russell Martin's Rangers beat Hibs earlier on in the season, but I think at Easter Road, I think that's a game that Russell Martin's Rangers would have probably lost. So there is clear improvement, as I say, for me, mostly off the ball. We still have a lot of work to do in terms of creating good chances for ourselves. But there's improvement there, and it'll keep getting stronger. And hopefully, Danny Rowe gets a big say on. Just give Danny Rowe a big say on who signs. Kevin Thelwell did say that he's never signed a player that a head coach doesn't want. He said that in Danny Rowe's first press conference when they were all there. So
I bet he did.
Please just give him the freedom to choose the players he wants, and then just get the deal done. Don't go around looking for your own guys, because your own guys, Chermiti, cost a lot of money and do a hell of a lot of nothing. So yeah. Just give the guy who's worked at Bayern Munich, who's worked with the German national team, who knows clearly knows what a good player looks like. Let him take the reins on that.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree there, Craig. Going to go for some questions now from you guys at home. So, guys, get some questions in and we will do our best to answer them. Stevie, I'm going to come to you with this one. I think our Mitch is at it with this one a little bit. He's still the sole member of the Dessers Appreciation Society, and he's got this question. So, given how our strikers have been this season, would you have kept Dessers for guaranteed goals even until January? Stevie, what do you reckon?
I mean, there's a strong argument there. You can't score 50 goals in 2 seasons and not be a really productive member of the team. You know, any team that loses that, it will struggle. So Mitch has definitely got a point. But I say at the same time, if Dessers had stayed, I'd have probably ripped all my hair out by now. I mean, I've already, you can see I'm kind of losing a lot of it, so I was kind of glad to see the back of him. But yeah, there's a strong argument in there that he maybe would have put away a couple yesterday. But then you think back to last December in the final when he never stepped up to take a penalty. It was at that point I wanted rid of Dessers. Hiding in a penalty shootout, that's unforgivable. So yeah, I get Mitch's appreciation for Dessers, but ultimately I think he had to go. But yeah, there's pros and cons. He's probably still better than, well, he's definitely better than Chermiti. There's no question about that. Danilo, I would have rather Danilo left in the summer, but I don't think there was a buyer for him, unfortunately. So yeah, we probably would be in a better position if he was still here.
Yeah, very likely, which is not something we would have looked at.
I need to head off, Andrew. Can I just
go for it, Stevie?
Sorry,
for it, mate.
I need to go. But Andrew, that's a beautiful top. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for
yeah. No, thank you so much for coming on. So guys, keep your... See you later, Stevie, mate. Keep your comments coming in, guys. I've got one from Doug here, so I'm going to come to you, Billy. Scottish referees, do they need a unified union to help protect them from pressure or influence and work towards improving education and levels? Would a union really have that effect, do you think, with maybe unconscious bias, Billy?
I'm pretty sure Doug will argue with me over it, but I just don't really see what difference that would make it for at the moment. I mean, having a union really looks after your interest, doesn't it? Doesn't look after the interest of the clubs. In regards to training, I guess they could go in and negotiate full-time contracts if we feel that that's necessary. But no, I don't know what necessarily a union would help in the short term, at least for referees. I mean, the protection that you're talking about, Doug, you might be able to answer this. You're talking about protection from comments in the media. You're talking physical protection of them and the property. I don't know what protection you mean, but look, we're all for them getting education is maybe not the right word, more training, more whatever. But I mean, at the end of the day, most of the stuff they're getting wrong, Andrew, isn't in-depth football. Like it's not like a game of chess stuff where you're studying, moves from grandmasters from 50 years ago. It's just stuff that's happening in front of your eyes. You can see what's happened. You've chosen to give the wrong decision time and time again. So I don't know how a union would help with that.
Yeah, I feel about the same there, Billy. Yeah, good to get your opinion on that. Craig, let's talk some players now. Obviously, the man of the minute, the guy that has been keeping us in games this year, Jack Butland. Safe to say had a little bit of a mixed performance yesterday. Pulled off a couple of great saves. One low down to his side in the first half. And then first half of extra time, Callum McGregor unleashes that shot, goes straight in, kind of down Butland's throat. Was he at fault for that?
I've always said that goalkeepers are never sole issues when goals go in. But yeah, I think he's dived far too early. I think he's expecting the shot to go across him towards the corner of the goal, and it just hasn't happened. And it's kind of went down, and he's decided too early, and he's gone, and he's ended up sort of diving past it. You could argue that the ball gets recycled and it gets passed out to McGregor and no one shuts him down quickly enough to stop the shot coming in the first place. But yeah, he's made a poor decision there. But I think if we're gonna pull up this guy for that one mistake in a game so late on, or early extra time, but late on through the game, when he's done everything he's done in that game and everything he's done. I mean, he's the only player this season who's been consistently good from the start to the end, or to the start till now even. So we'll give him we'll give him that one, I suppose. But he's just gone far too. He's just thought about it and gone far too early.
Yeah. No, I think he has. I think it was down his throat a little bit. Some say there was a little bit of a nick off Suter. It still didn't really change the trajectory of it too much. One thing I do have to say I think it was Doug that kind of filled us all in on this about Butland last year, because we do forget that when Butland was going through that bad patch of form, he had just had major surgery on a blood clot and kind of came back very quickly. Obviously, he had a young child brought into the world as well, so he kind of had a lot on his plate. So I think looking at last year, I think we do forget that a little bit. He has been fairly reliable for us. Look at his penalty saves that he has had, and that's something we've been very lucky with Rangers goalkeepers. You know, he goes as far back as Stefan Kloss was good at saving penalties, Alan McGregor. We've always been very lucky with that. But yeah, I'm just hoping that we aren't seeing a little bit of stuttering form from Jack Butland. But there we go. Right, keep your comments coming in, guys. This is the Rangers Journal. Like and subscribe, and don't forget to turn your notifications on. It doesn't take long to like and subscribe, and it really helps the channel. It helps your algorithm too, so you get the right suggested content. And don't forget, the Rangers Journal is proudly sponsored by Bluebells. Puerto del Carmen, Lanzarote. If you are down in Lanzarote, head to the only Rangers bar there. You'll be greeted with a warm welcome, great food, family friendly, and of course you will have Rangers games, because you know, we all need it when we're on holiday, don't we? Got another question just come in here. I'm going to come to you with this one, Billy. Not to keep you on the kind of doomsaying a little bit, but oh no, I've clicked on the wrong one. It is King Greg 4230. How do you guys think we'll get on versus Roma? So Billy, I'll come to you first on this. Roma, is this going to be a tall order?
Yeah, I mean, did they not lose a recent game? Was it to Pilsen?
Yes. Do you know what? I remember seeing something like that. I thought it was Panathinaikos in my head, but it might have been Pilsen. Yeah, they lost 2-1.
I don't think it was a team. Yeah, it was a team we beat. Yeah. So I've got
Pilsen
that to hold on
at home as well, which is unbelievable.
I mean, I have no idea on their squad whether they put out a second string or whatever. So I guess we'll have to take the game. What I worry though is that it's now very much taking a back seat because we've started so poorly. So for the European campaign to turn around, I don't think. I know me personally don't really have any kind of. Of course, by the time Thursday comes along, Andrew, I'll be up for it. I'm just coming from the disappointment of yesterday, so I'm just a bit on the European front. I want to get back in the league, and I want to try and get some points on the board there, because we did get 2 wins recently, and we looked okay in the league. And as you mentioned earlier, we've got a decent run of games. Okay, Kilmarnock away is not always great for us, as Michael Beale found out. But we'll but going on the Roma game, one of those ones that you could see it going the way of us getting some, I wouldn't say a memorable or a fantastic win, but you could see us going out there and playing against a European side and doing pretty well. Maybe even going back to 4 at the back and not worrying so much defensively. But do I have high hopes for that? Probably not at the moment, but we'll see. It's really just taking. I'm just down in the dumps, to be honest with you, mate. It's really just, even though I should have expected what happened yesterday, it's kind of like, why bother turning up anymore if it's the die is weighted so heavily against you? So I'm sure when we get the pre-match going and we'll do shows during the week, looking forward to the game, it'll be something I'm looking forward to on Thursday night. But from this point in time, I'd rather just get it over with and get the league back on. So yeah, sorry, a bit negative on the European front.
You know what, Billy? It's the hope it kills you, isn't it? It's
we know what to say about the hope.
I know. Well, there are positives, Craig. You look at Kevin Thompson, friend of the Rangers Journal, was speaking in the media today.
He's my personal friend, actually.
Your personal friend, that's right. Sorry, Billy. Name drop. He's in the other room there, isn't he? Locked in your cupboard under the stairs. He was.
I do have a safe under the stairs.
I think they call it a panic room these days.
Right. If it's a Kevin Thompson.
I was going to say that's just to hide from the telly when Rangers are on these days, to be honest. But Kevin Thompson was speaking in the media about how he's been impressed with Danny Roll, how we've kind of tightened up defensively. Could a strong defensive performance give us a result we desperately need in Europe on Thursday, Craig? What do you reckon?
Absolutely, yeah. If you can, they're obviously a team that will have a bit more quality, certainly on paper. Teams from the no matter how big the club is itself, the teams from the big 5 leagues in Europe will always have more quality than us, just purely because of how much money they can spend. But if you can have a good, strong defensive performance, then that's the best you can ask for to then move forward and try and score a goal yourself. It's not out with the realms of possibility. I think we're certainly heading in a direction where we could be as strong as we have been in Europe recently. But I am a bit like Billy as well. I just forget about Europe for this year. Let's just get as many points as we can in the league and push as high up in the league as we can, because we're in a position now where we ain't just got to catch Celtic. We've got to catch Hearts as well, and they don't look like stopping anytime soon. I'm still not on the Hearts bandwagon that they're going to win the league, but they're certainly the strongest non-Old Firm challenge for a title in a long time. So you need to be wary of that, and we need to catch them up. So yeah, Europe is really taking a back seat this year. But I've always felt that Europe should always take a back seat to the league. I always think Rangers should focus on winning the league, and then whatever happens in Europe happens. But it's been flipped over the past few years because for some reason we seem to turn up in Europe. But no, for this year, considering that this year Europe has been so poor to begin with, I think we'll just get Europe out of the way and just win as many points as you can in the league. Just go all out to win as many points as you can as a league. Pushes us high up, because we're sitting 4th just now. I think Hibs overtook us.
Played, yes,
because they played an extra game. So we're sitting 4th just now. We're looking at Conference League qualifiers, and financially that is no use. Financially, you need to hit. Europa League will keep us on par with where we've been. Champions League qualifiers and Champions League is where you need to go to push. So you have to focus on the league more than what you're doing in Europe.
It's weird because it's almost what you were saying there. You're right in what you're saying. The bread and butter is the league, and we underperform every year in the league, and it's something that has to change. But like you were saying there, with the way the coefficient's been going, we are very shortly going to start losing even the Europa League spot for finishing second, which is a massive, massive worry, because the finances that come with that, getting to the latter stages. Yes, you might still have the conference, but it's definitely a different ball game, and you start seeing the Champions League getting further and further into the distance. Not that we're ready for the Champions League in any way, shape or form at the minute, but we will start becoming a European backwater nation. And with the way things are now, I think it really doesn't help. The way the coefficient is, we will slip further and further down, and might even lose that one and only Champions League spot, which will be probably qualifying from the first round. So yeah, no, it's amazing when you look at it, how we are only 5 points behind Celtic, which shows the amount of mess that they've got. But Hearts, there's obviously a lot of chat about Hearts. There's a lot of chat about Hearts. This is going to come to an end at some point. You know what? I'm not necessarily seeing it at the minute, Billy. I was looking the other day. Hearts, the Jamestown analytics, there's a couple of players they're looking at bringing in January, and you think to yourself, you know what? They're looking at bringing in, again, players on minimal money that are meeting some decent metrics, and they really have nailed Scotland as a league and what players are needed to be brought in. You look at the players that they've got now, Braga and others. It's crazy, isn't it, Craig? Really?
Yeah. Like I don't fancy Hearts to keep up their title challenge all year this year, but the fundamental differences that Tony Bloom has made. And Derek McInnes, we shouldn't forget Derek McInnes. He's been a strong manager in Scotland for many years, and we shouldn't discredit Derek McInnes. But the fundamental changes that Tony Bloom has made to the way Hearts do their transfer dealings is something that's going to stand them in good stead for years. This year is just the start of it, and as years go on, the chances are they're just going to get stronger and stronger. So it's something you're going to have to be wary of. Although this year, I think this year's just a bit too quick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They might have peaked very quickly, and it's like Philippe Clement used to say, it's a marathon. It's not about what you do straight away, is it? But then the marathon never kind of happened, did it? So we do have a question. Another question's come in. Billy, I'm going to come to you now. Based on yesterday, is now the time to bring Nsiala back into the first team for Dija? He's years on his deal when he showed last season that he can. He seemed to really grow into the team a little bit last year. A bit nervy at first, but really did grow into that kind of role, didn't he?
I mean, he came, AC Milan came through there. You think that's a good, especially for how defensive the Italian league can be, that would be a good signing. Was it the game against Kilmarnock he kind of got hooked fairly quickly into that game? I think when Barry was there. Is he one of these players like Fernandez who get better when they're not playing? That may be quite possible, but from what I've seen of Giga the last, I mean, he did okay against Hibs. He didn't start very well, though. The first 20 minutes he was ropey as well in that game, so he certainly, in my opinion, can't be much worse than what we've got, and hopefully would be some kind of improvement. But that doesn't say much for where we are recruitment-wise, that we've not brought in anybody that is nailed on starter in that position, really, because Giga's not really covered himself in much glory this season. But I would see him back in. I would have Fernandez back in, but we don't know why they're not being featuring. We're told rules unveiling that Fernandez has been injured. Well, that's the first any of us heard of that. They never kind of relay that to us. So yes, I guess is the answer to that question. But purely because it's we can't continue with Giga, I don't think.
Yeah,
and if I just say one more thing, Andrew, on that wasn't Celtic have a stronger option starting 11 to put out when fitness and everything. Got to remember, two of their goal scorers yesterday were not really in contention for this squad at the beginning of the season, so that's not a good position for us to be in. And also, maybe what I would do is I would just find out who Hearts are going to sign. And we hopefully still currently have more money than them, and just go in and offer an extra zero in the end. If we'd got Braga, that would have been a great signing. Why are we limiting ourselves to English Championship, lower English Premiership, and even English First Division? It seems a very big mess.
Allegedly, we are not going to dive into that market next time around. Allegedly. That supposedly was because of the limited time that was available, so they had to kind of go with what they knew.
That's an awful excuse, though, Andrew, is it not?
Know, it is, because it means that you're not really using your proper research. You're kind of just going for players that are meeting certain metrics just quickly off the shelf. But
that's like saying, I need a wife, but I only really go to Papa Doc's, so I'll just go there and pick somebody from there rather than going to some nightclub in Milan.
Oh, well, there we go. No, you're not wrong. It didn't read well when I was reading that, and I just thought, oh, okay, so there wasn't really any proper planning put in place for the players that we were looking at there. But allegedly, January is going to be different. Allegedly, money is going to be made available. But my big fear, Craig, is PSR is going to start raising its head, isn't it? We've spent close to allegedly 30 odd million. You know, some of the fees have been undisclosed. Some of the fees have been got from Transfer Market, which isn't always accurate. Surely we can't really be spending too much money, and if we do, we need a whole backline to purchase next season. I don't think we can have a lot of money to do that, are we?
Well, yeah, it depends on how well the Americans have been able to budget. Like I couldn't possibly tell you how much money Rangers have got left to spend to stay in accordance with profit and sustainability. But I can't imagine that they'll have let Russell Martin go with their entire budget in one window, because why would you allow a manager to do that? But at the same time, when you look at it, we got 10 million for Igaman. We got like 6 or 5 or 6 for Jefte, so he could go back to Brazil. So they spent 30 odd million bringing players in, but they also got a good whack back. So you'd have to see what the net spend is there. You know, to find out how much money they really spent and how much they recouped in selling players, or players going the other way. So I can imagine that there's still a little bit of money there, and because at the time when they were planning, I think they would have kept money there for Russell Martin to go out and get who he needs. But it so happened that Russell Martin's been sacked and now it's Danny Rose. So Danny Rose now going to have money, a little bit of money to go out and get players that he needs in January to see us through the rest of the season before you can really like reset in the summer. So I can't imagine the pot's completely empty. But they'll definitely, it'll be limited, but it won't be completely empty.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's a fair assessment of that, to be fair, because you just see some things start creeping in and you think there are, you know, Hearts allegedly can't spend too much in January. They've been told already, and they don't exactly say they've spent millions, have they? You know, they've managed to put a team together fairly well, but of course their net income is going to be completely different to a club like Rangers, so I guess it is a different kettle of fish. Right, guys, we've been on for about 1 hour 47 minutes, so I think it's time to wrap up. I think it's been another frustrating Old Firm match. We've had our wee vent. Unfortunately, the officiating still is bad. We've had this whole kind of VAR review panel set up. We've had Willie Collum heading it. Are things really improving? I think that is a question we've got to start asking, because if it's not, then they need to look at other things at the SFA. But I'd just like to thank Billy and Craig and all the other guys for coming on this evening. So thank you, gentlemen. And don't forget, the Rangers Journal will be live this week. Pre-match coverage of the Roma game, post-match coverage, and hopefully, it's a nice result to shout about, because we haven't had much to shout about lately. And, you know, then it is on to Dundee, Sunday the 9th of November. So, of course, the Rangers Journal will be there covering all that. So, every night is a Rangers Journal night. Take care, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe.